Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of 8 News Real Talk. I'm your host, Tannock, Blair, and with me as always is my co-host, Julia Broberg.
Hello.
Hey, Julia.
Hi.
Thank you for tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, our website, or even WRIC Plus, free to download smart TV app. Probably the best way to get all of your WRIC Now content. Today, we technically only have one movie that we plan to discuss, but in our own independent ways, we went to see 2 other new releases, and so I figured we could discuss some of those as well. I guess we'll start with that, actually. Julia, you went to see A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey.
I did, yes.
I did not get to see this one, but I
that's
saw the
okay.
trailer many times.
And
in the
so you
theater.
saw the film.
Yeah.
Um,
What did you think of it?
It was bad. It was kind of bad.
Okay. All right.
I hesitate to call a movie that stars Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell giving good performances bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. The script was just kind of meh. I had a trouble having any emotional investments. Their performances are good and they're charismatic performers. So, it's nice to see them and they have good chemistry. But overall, it didn't have a lot to say about the human experience in the ways that I think it thought it did.
Yeah. Could not be saved by the performances in this case.
Unfortunately.
The concept, are you able to share like the basic concept without spoiling anything? Because it gave me the vibes of like it's got a slightly sci-fi-ish concept, like it's going for like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or something.
Kind of like that mixed with like a Black Mirror type thing, kind of, but not as dark, not really cynical. Basically, the 2 characters are both get a car from this car rental agency that's like this mysterious car rental agency that you can tell is kind of like a matchmaking service. And so their cars like break down, and so they have to go on this journey together. And it's basically they're going through a bunch of memories from their past, like they're going through a bunch of moments from their past together. So it's supposed to be this like you see him in high school, you see her at the bedside of her dying mom.
Right, they're sharing their vulnerable moments.
Yes, but it was just like, okay, and at one point they hiked to the top of this hill and then they were just like looking at the earth.
Okay, yeah.
And we were like,
that's powerful.
I guess it was supposed to be, but I was not feeling that.
Okay.
And so my friend and I were just kind of making jokes throughout the whole thing, which is disrespectful. But
So it's like one of those movies where it maybe is trying a little too hard to be profound or manipulate some sort of emotion from the audience, and it's too obvious that it's trying to do that.
And the characters don't talk like real people. They don't talk like 2 humans would talk to each other, which I struggle with. Because it's one thing if that's the thing, and it's, it allows you to do other things and say more things about the human experience, but this was not that. They just were awkward.
Cool. All right. Well, that's one to skip then.
Yeah.
Or maybe catch it on demand or something, or on a flight. Maybe that's a good plane movie.
You don't even, no, oh my God, no. You don't even have to do that. You don't even have to, I would say just skip it.
All right.
Which I'm, yeah.
All right. There you go. What would you give it star-wise?
Like a 2-star.
Okay.
Maybe even, if spiritually feels lower, but.
Okay.
And I love a movie about the human experience.
Yeah, well, all right. Tough critic. Or
that's
tough
me.
film.
Tough crowd, tough crowd.
I saw The History of Sound this weekend. It was a film by, as it says here, Oliver Hermanus. I had never seen any of his other films, starring Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor. Really cool concept. I don't know if it was based on a true story, but it felt very real. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, about these 2 guys who meet in college in Boston in like the just before World War I starts, I think. So, and they sort of have a fling or a burgeoning romance between the 2 of them that gets cut short by Josh O'Connor's character having to go to war. And from there, the film mostly follows the life story of Paul Mescal's character, sort of dealing with this unrequited love or like the relationship that never was sort of thing. It's a really cool concept. There's some really good performances by them and by other supporting cast members. It's shot beautifully. The reason why it's called The History of Sound is they're both students of music. And specifically, they go on a trip across the country in like 1920s America to record and document old folk songs, American folk songs. And so there's some really nice musical moments as well where those sorts of things are included. But yeah, it's all just amounts to a bit of nothing, or it feels like the themes it's trying to get to of sort of grief and regret, like a life, missing out on a life that could have been lived sort of thing. It's been done before, and I think it's been done better by other films. And even in terms of like queer cinema, like it's operating in that sphere of Brokeback Mountain or Maurice, both films which handled that material, I think, a lot better. But yeah, the real big downside here is that it's just a bit of a slog to get through. It's like glacially paced, and it's trying to imbue those sort of slow moments with some sort of meaning or profundity, but it's not hitting those marks anywhere. It's it's trying really hard to sort of swim around that feeling of melancholy. It's actually kind of similar to Queer from last year, which also has that feeling of regret from Daniel Craig's character. But that film had the good sense to, throw in bizarre dream sequences and keep things exciting and moving along when all that's happening.
This movie needed an acid trip.
It would have brought something to the table instead of, because it does just feel like you're hanging out with a really mopey guy for 2 hours. And it's not that fun. Not that it has to be fun, but it doesn't feel particularly profound either. It just feels like the meaning or symbolism behind the film feels a little obvious, and you're not gleaming some sort of, you're not gleaming some sort of information or inspiration to the human condition or anything, which I think is what it's going for. So for that reason, I'm going to give it 2 stars as well.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's right on the line. I could feasibly give it a 3 just because of the technical qualities of it, like I said at the beginning. But if I'm just being honest about how I felt, like walking out of that theater, it did feel like, wow, that was a waste of 2 hours of my life that I'll never get back.
Okay. Yeah. You're like, I wish the story about queer romance had a couple more jokes in there, speed it up a little bit.
I wish it just had something. Actually, it does have. So the reason why it's called The History of Sound, not only, they're documenting the history of American folk music and things. There's something interesting there that doesn't get explored as far as it could have, that sort of comes back in towards the end of the film. I think if that had been more of a focus and like you had filled some of those more empty, meandering moments with something about that, I think it could have been a really interesting movie. Because that was unique and that was thought-provoking and things in the way that the general biopic sort of approach was not.
Wait, so this is a queer cinema movie about folk music? I'm gonna eat it up. I think I'm gonna eat it up. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I would be curious to see what you think, because I think all the elements together sound like it's a great movie.
Good on paper.
Yeah, and I think. Yeah, I'd be curious to see if it works for you or not because of that. Because I was, when I heard the concept and, I was excited. I thought with these 2 performers as well, like 2 of the most exciting actors working today, I was like, this could be really good, but it was not.
Okay. All right.
A little disappointing.
Sorry.
Let's take a quick break and then we'll get back to your regularly scheduled programming with him. We'll be right back. And we're back. Welcome back to Real Talk. We're going to be discussing Him, the biggest release of this week, I would think. Maybe.
I don't know. Unless there was another Demon Slayer movie we don't know about that came out. Oh my gosh.
I guess maybe the big, beautiful, bold, beautiful journey.
Big, bold, beautiful journey. It's a lot to say.
That name is really tricky. They're not doing themselves any favors with that title, but. Yeah, I think this is one of the biggest releases of the. I mean, it is being distributed by Universal.
And I feel like it's been pretty anticipated since the trailers come out.
Jordan Peele's production company's behind it. Looking at the director and the writers, I don't think they've really had. Maybe there was a like small indie feature that no one saw, but it looks like this is their first big swing movie. Yeah, him. What did you think of it? What would you rate it?
Don't ask me that. I know the format of the show, but I was hoping we could keep stalling because I don't know how I feel about it. When I was watching it, it seemed okay. I liked a lot of the visuals were really good. I thought some of the performances were really good. I liked the concept in theory. I don't know. A lot of it just wasn't hitting. I wish they had done it a little differently, I think. And yeah, I think everybody's just getting kind of tired of this elevated horror stuff. I don't know. I'm like 2, maybe 3. I don't know if it justifies a 3. I'm going to go. Come back to me. What did you think?
We'll come back to you. No, I think you hit the nail on the head with people talking about superhero fatigue. I think I have elevated horror fatigue. For those who don't know, that is sort of the name ascribed to this like sort of subgenre of horror movies from the last 10 years or so. The early examples are like The Witch from Robert Eggers or Hereditary by Ari Aster or even Get Out by Jordan Peele, whose production company actually produced this film. But now on the tail end of that genre, we're getting things like Opus and Death of a Unicorn and that are not pushing that genre or doing anything unique. It feels like they're playing by the rule book that was set by those earlier films. I did not particularly like him. I think I'm going to go 2 stars. I agree that it's not entirely without redemption. There's some good visuals in there and some interesting performances and things. It's cool seeing Marlon Wayans. Is that how you say it? Wayans?
Wayans? I think it's Wayans.
It's Wayans.
But don't quote me on that.
See him making a sort of return to I don't know if he's been anywhere, but this is the first movie I've seen him in a while.
He did a good job.
Yeah, and his performance is really good. And yeah, it's an interesting film. I think it makes some bigger swings than perhaps Death of a Unicorn and Opus do, but I think it also has some bigger misses than even those films because of it. So it sort of rounds out to a 2 for me.
I think I would go 3 because I liked it more than I thought I would. I don't know if I was particularly excited about it when I saw the trailer. But yeah, like you're saying, I wish they would have just taken it further. I always wish they would take it further. And the end kind of lost it for me. Again, we'll have to get into spoilers to talk about it. But,
let's do it.
Well, oh my gosh, he did it. Yeah, the end kind of ruined it for me a little bit. Like I was with it in a lot of ways. Yeah. I thought that end fight between Isaiah and Cameron, right?
Yep. Cade.
I just didn't think Cameron Cade wasn't shot well. It was like too dark and I couldn't really see what was going on. And it was I was like, why? This is your big climax culmination of what we've seen this building to for the both of them. And you kind of assume what's going to happen. Like one has to take it from the other. I don't know why they would shoot it like that. I just didn't. I was like, and then the whole ending where it went for the whole, it looked really good. Yeah. But I just didn't think there was anything.
There was a lot of that where like there were certain decisions made on how things were shot or like how sequences played out that made it feel really clunky and like a little cheap at times as well. And I mean, it is a low budget horror film. It's not, supposed to look super expensive, but sometimes it looked like the thing that I remember is towards the beginning when he goes to the draft or whatever. It's this really weird green screen shot where there's like a crowd behind him and Tim Heidecker. Yep. That looks really bad. I was like, and an unnecessary shot at that. If you're operating on a low budget, there's other ways to sort of imply a crowd or, you don't have to show things in such an awkward way. I don't know.
I like seeing little comedic boys. I like seeing Tim Heidecker and I like Jim Jeffries. I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. We should probably describe the plot, but
true.
I will just say about that, the hiring of these comedic actors or comedians feels like they were going for something a bit funnier than the movie actually ends up being. Like, those characters didn't really get any opportunity to be funny, I thought. There was a couple of moments where they had Jim Jeffries say something that was supposed to be funny. Like when they first ask the main character to strip down for a physical or whatever, and the punchline at the end is like, "Why'd you take your drawers off?" Yeah. That was clearly, we're going to make use of our comedian actors and get some like funny moments in this film. But that was really not delivered well, not written well, I guess, or I don't know what it was, but the joke fell incredibly flat. There were a lot of moments like that, I thought. Yeah, there's just a lot of this that just kind of misses the mark. Yeah. Also, when I saw that it was an hour 30, I was psyched. Yeah. So I was like, well, there's not a lot of movies coming out these days that are tight hour 90. 30. And it felt long. Yeah. This felt pretty long for 1:30. When I start singing my critiques, that's how you know it's bad.
Who wants to do the plot?
Rock, paper, scissors? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. I'll do it.
Okay.
Cameron Cade is the main guy that we're following. He's been trained in football since he was a kid. His family was a big fan of this team called the Saviors. His dad trained him as a child, and then his dad eventually passes away. And at that point in time, you're seeing that Cameron is now getting his chance at the big leagues.
He's a college prodigy about to make it to they don't call it the NFL, but essentially the major league.
And he gets attacked before one of his big, the combine.
Yeah.
Girl.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at how silly that sequence plays out, where he's training at his home field or whatever in preparation for draft day. And there's sort of like an effort made for tension or some sort of suspense while he's out on his own as it's nighttime or whatever. He's the only one on the field. And the football keeps spinning, which is supposed to be eerie. It kind of works. It's kind of spooky.
And the goalpost is shaking, vibrating. There's a lot of just vibrating things in this movie.
It feels like a little bit early to be giving away a little bit too much of the horror, I feel like. But it's a decision. It is what it is.
They made a decision.
But the thing that's really silly about that sequence is how abruptly a creepy looking cult person in a mask with horns appears behind him and just smacks him really hard over the head.
Bonk. They should have had the noise to just bonk, and then he wakes up.
Yeah, and then we cut to him in the hospital, and the doctors are saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be fighting." It's a good setup for how hard is he going to push himself when he's been concussed and he shouldn't be training or anything.
And head looks like football.
Yeah.
Head look like football.
Yeah, there's some good commentary to be made there about athletes overdoing it and, et cetera. But there's no follow-up on the fact this guy got assaulted in a park in the middle of the night, or no one's looking for the suspect, or
well, because then it's revealed at the end that the people of the league set it up to happen, and it's okay, right. You set up this goat man to attack him at his home field,
and the logic, I guess, is he's injured, so he can't get drafted, so that he has to go
to the boot camp
Isaiah. Right?
Which you didn't let me get to in my description of the plot.
Back to the description. Sorry, that was a brief aside.
No, that was important to say. Because also I'm struggling to pull out all the sports terminology.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's gonna go to the combine, but then he can't. Yep. But then he gets picked by Isaiah, who is his idol. In this legend in the sports industry, and he gets just picked to go to his boot camp, and then a bunch of shenanigans start happening. Spooky, scary stuff. He realizes that it's more intense, and it turns into all this ritual, bloodshed, creepy, elevated horror.
That's when we're playing by the numbers, right? Yeah. We go to a secluded place out in the desert
with a bunch of crazy rich people.
Yep. We have a charismatic yet terrifying sort of villainous figure that he's meeting. It's very Opus, it's Get Out, it's whatever, and of course it always ends up being a cult or something.
Yeah. And I'm again, it does touch on two very terrifying things: head injuries and letting somebody inject their blood into you. Yeah. Sharing needles. Yeah. And head injuries, very scary things.
Yeah, and appropriate to the source material. They're trying to play off certain real world horrors of
pro athletes and what they do to their bodies and things.
The seriousness of an injury, like
That's
getting
ripe,
injured.
ripe sort of material to mine for good horror stuff, I think. And so on paper, all this seems like a really great concept. I think you said that at the beginning of your review. Yeah, it is like a really cool idea and angle. I think we stumble a bit when we get to the execution of things.
Yeah. I will say, if you guys are looking for a movie that's better at doing this whole thing of like athlete trying to make it big and destroying themselves in the process, I would recommend The Novice. Was a really good movie that came out a couple years ago that does this better. It's not elevated horror, but it's one of my favorite movies that handles that kind of whiplash thing of like trying to be the best, trying to be the GOAT. Yeah, they also did that. Like the whole thing was like trying to be the GOAT. And like there was symbolism within that, which I get, like ritual cult stuff.
Right.
And I also think it did a good job of football is an intense thing in America. Like Americans place a lot of importance on football, and it can get scary, just in terms of fan bases and what the results of that. But so I think that it kind of did that well.
Yeah, I was going to mention the whole whiplash of it all because in addition to this by the numbers elevated horror thing, there is something else that they're aping in that here is a mentor that is toxically motivating, that encourages the central protagonist to sacrifice everything for this to be truly great. So very similar to Whiplash. Great film, by the way.
Great film.
I'm sure we both agree on that.
Yes, love Whiplash.
It doesn't quite work here because at the end of Whiplash, Miles Teller doesn't have to kill J.K. Simmons.
He thinks about it. They both think about it.
To replace him. Like, it works in the moment, but when you like look back at the logic of the film, like why is Wayans' character motivating him or training him to beat him?
Yeah.
When he's also, he doesn't want to give it up. Maybe there's something there. Maybe it's like, I want to earn it. I want to beat the best to prove that I'm still the top sort of thing. But it doesn't read like that. Like the film doesn't explore it as that's the psychology. It doesn't really explore Wayne's psychology at all. He just does whatever's interesting or scary or funny to do in any moment.
Yeah.
It's not.
Just a little
Yeah,
boop
exactly.
moment, and I'm like,
That's a good example where it's a funny bit, like where he builds up all this tension. He does the cute little boop on his nose, and it makes him seem unhinged.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no consistency he doesn't feel like a real character. He feels like he's a plot device in every scene he's in, sort of.
And I struggled a bit with Cameron Cade's arc. I don't think that was really handled super well. I think the performance from the gentleman that played Cameron Cade was great.
Yeah.
I'm not really familiar with him, but he did. I really
Tyreek
enjoyed.
Withers.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
I really enjoyed his performance. But I just think it was like the arc didn't match what was happening. Like he almost like kills a woman in a sauna and he's just kind of chilling with that.
Yeah.
Or he's seeing all the stuff
surprisingly
happening.
fine with a lot of crazy stuff happening around him. The whole
And
movie.
it's like, okay, is he being drugged? Like, is there something in the blood that they're giving him that's making him chill?
Right.
But
Or
yeah.
I was also wondering, is it saying he's already so committed to being a footballer that he really just doesn't care
Yeah,
how
he's
weird
past the
things are going to
point.
get. He just
He's like, I want to play football.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then like we lose all the tension of the horror and things because he doesn't seem to react like
and then he
he's
goes
afraid
on a
or
slaughtering spree at the end, which again, like,
yeah, but there's no arc for him in that regard. You could have introduced him day one and he would have slaughtered everyone to become the best or whatever. He doesn't change or he's not pushed to any limits except for what we can see physically in the in the visuals and in the editing style. We can see how intense scenes are moment to moment, but we don't see this character change in any meaningful way. Not that films have to have strict character arcs, but it does. Yeah, we lose the tension and like we lose sort of the momentum. It just feels like a series of things happening until it's time for the ending where you could have put the ending on the second day and nothing would have changed.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm knocked back down to a 2. Maybe I've been knocked down to a 2. It looked good.
I will say, I loved the editing in some of those sequences.
Like the montage stuff.
Yeah, whoever, for whatever weaknesses these filmmakers had in terms of, making a cohesive story out of things, they clearly, like, they have music video talent, you know what I mean? Where scenes were on a visceral level working for me. Whether it was intense sports stuff or, some more slightly psychedelic stuff, whenever we got to those scenes, it was, an enjoyable experience just to sit there and let that wash over you.
Yeah.
It's just whenever the story had to come back into play or like some sort of character moment had to happen, it was where it stumbled the hardest, I think. Yeah, you were saying the ending didn't work for you.
Yeah, it kind of, well, because it's like there's only so many ways that it can go.
Yeah.
And to choose the option where he just, he denounces this and is like, no, I'm not playing by your rules, and just slaughters everyone.
Yeah.
And then Tim Heidecker is dragged by some spirit into the center of the thing and explodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just too, like,
It feels rushed a little bit.
It feels rushed, and it feels like they're trying to put everything that they didn't sprinkle in throughout the film. They're trying to just shove it into one thing at the end.
Exactly.
And it's like, no, you got to take care. You got to bake the cake. You have to put the ingredients and mix them as you can't just put them all in at the end and be like, cake.
Yeah. I liked it, again, for the visceral level. I liked it just for how extremely violent it was, but I'm so there with you where, like, it doesn't work. The character's decision doesn't make sense either because he's gone along with everything so far. I feel like it would make more sense after killing Wayne's character that he would sign the contract. And, his decision, I think what they're trying to do, they try to set up how much family is important to him. And I think it's supposed to be he's choosing his family over...
When the guy threatens his family, when the guy's like, I'll kill your family.
Right,
He's
right.
like, okay.
But
then I'll kill you.
Yeah, but it doesn't play. Maybe it's because it doesn't have an epilogue or just the decision to turn into like hardcore violence doesn't seem like a triumphant for my family sort of decision. Like an escape or something would do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about it that just doesn't all come together in what I think it's trying to say. Like it doesn't read that way.
And it's like, why does Julia Fox's character kill Jim Jeffries? Why does she behead him? Why is any of this like, again, and not that I need everything to be explained to me.
Yeah.
But I'd like a couple things. I'd like a couple of
it's because he's helping him, but he doesn't really help him. He just whispers run at one point.
Then he writes run on a needle with his blood. That whole thing where he just lets him inject some other dude's blood into him. Are you insane?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I think it's trying to make commentary on the fact that, like, in previous scandals with like drug enhancing drugs and stuff, athletes often claim, I didn't even know that I was getting injected with steroids or something. The trainers just told me it was, something else.
Again, it speaks to the craziness of American football and athletes, but yeah, man. I don't know. I can see how people would also enjoy this, though. Like you're saying, it looks good, the visceral element of it. The same with the ending. It looks good. Like I liked what was happening on the screen, and it was nice to look at. But
I wondered if someone who's like a big fan of football, if there was certain inside jokes in here that would play better that me not being super familiar with the world of football didn't pick up on, it didn't register at all.
Imagine like two people sitting in here, we both love football. Like how different would our reviews be if we were both people that were like diehard football people? Yeah. What if we came in here and be like, oh man, 4 stars?
There could be direct references to certain athletes or certain like careers in here, scandals, that are just going over our heads. So there could be something there that for certain audiences will make it work a little bit more. But from our perspective, it's a tough week at the movies.
It is a tough week at the movies. That's why I'm hyped, ready for one battle after another.
Yes.
Let's go, boy!
Yeah, only a few days to wait.
That's my football.
The new PTA movie, we'll certainly be reviewing that next week. We have a string of really good-looking movies coming up. We've got Smash Machine the week after.
So,
all right, guys.
Fingers crossed that this is just drought week this week.
Just a little dry.
And we're getting all the good stuff until the end now.
Yeah. Performance is good. I want to say that. Performance is good. Look good. Kind of bad, though. Once you get to the story and characters and plotline.
Yeah.
Kind of bad.
All right. That was him and other releases.
We are him.
We are him.
Never forget.
Go out there, everyone, and be the GOAT. We'll see you next week.